South Africa's challenge stands out. 1 out of every 2 young people are unemployed, and 60% of them will never work in their lifetime.
My name is Ryan Growney. I'm 16 years old, and I'm a high school student.
I'm Thomas Growney, Ryan's twin brother.
I'm Chris Growney. I'm a retired tech executive and investor. I'm Thomas and Ryan's dad.
The two brothers and their dad are looking for ways to disrupt the old models of youth service.
Service should be engaging.
We've got the drive.
We've got the resources. We've got the capital.
We have the passion.
We have to take our inspiration and turn it into real actionable progress.
And we want to change the world.
Welcome to Service Academy. Each episode will feature leaders in social entrepreneurship. Today's feature is Harambee, a South African nonprofit matching unemployed youths with job opportunities. But before we get to that, an update on the Growney's efforts to create more and better service opportunities for youths here in the U.S., starting with their community at St. George's School in Rhode Island.
We sent out this survey to all 4 grades.
How many kids are at the school approximately?
380, I think, ish.
Yeah.
Like it's a little less than 400.
Right. And how many responses did you get?
12.
12. So 12 of 380.
We didn't get a broad response.
Thomas and Ryan's school, St. George's, has a program called Mission SG dedicated to service. As you can imagine, they've been extremely active, and they're now using it as a proving ground for their ideas.
I went into this, I'm like, I have no idea how to do this. But just talking with my dad about it, talking with Thomas about it, and talking with all these people about this idea, there was a noticeable difference between my own confidence and like satisfaction and excitement for this, just because like I was able to work on it.
They start having meetings with some of these adults at their school, and they're like, I can't believe so-and-so took that meeting with me.
We created a club at our school to kind of help teach people problem solving, social entrepreneurship, and how to think about big problems.
We're proving out the model locally at St. George's and hopefully can be able to create a way to sort of template that and scale this elsewhere.
So since we've started working on this, there's been a lot that's happened. There's now a service afternoon activity you can do instead of sports. There's a service club, which we're running. There's a social entrepreneurship class, Mission SG, which is a school-wide intro to service and justice. And with Mission SG, they're just creating spaces to talk about service and people who are openly interested in service being accessible to you.
Do you think that has anything to do with your advocacy with on campus?
Maybe it's coincidental. I like to think it's not. We've really kind of helped kick that off a little bit. And I don't think we were inconsequential in all of it.
This episode features Harambee, a South African group revolutionizing how young people hungry for work are placed into jobs that speak to their potential.
Harambee means we win when we pull together. We started Harambee to take on the challenge of youth unemployment in South Africa.
In South Africa, 1.1 million youth enter the job market annually. A year later, 65% are not in any system of employment, training, or education. Harambee is fixing these broken systems.
Harambee is a youth employment accelerator. We stand as a bridge between young people looking for their first job and employers searching for entry-level talent.
It is with deep admiration that I introduce my friends Nicola Galombik and Maryana Iskander.
So we started Harambee with the crazy ambition to shift the prospect of a generation of young South Africans.
As a young filmmaker, Nicola spent her early career telling stories of the enormous human potential of South Africans, as well as their struggles. Later, as a business leader, she was struck by colleagues who bemoaned the lack of a talent pool. She knew there was a potential for powerful disruption.
Harambee is a youth employment accelerator.
We need to think in a very big way. We need to think very innovatively. We need breakthrough solutions. We need new ways of doing things.
One of their founders, Nicola Galombik, was from an investment firm called Yellowwoods. She worked in the hotel and restaurant business. Her businesses were impacted when there were no young people willing and able to be hired. So she went out and found her co-founder, Maryana Iskander, from Planned Parenthood. And I think together they're like, we can help solve this problem.
She met and joined forces with Maryana, an accomplished leader with a track record of scaling organizations who had now made South Africa her home.
I've had an opportunity to work in the public sector and the private sector and the social sector. And I was the chief operating officer for the Planned Parenthood Federation of America.
Together they, with many others, have changed the way businesses hire and young people get jobs.
The global challenge of young people who are leaving schooling systems, entering the labor market, and both not being ready and not finding opportunity.
The labour market dynamics report continues to paint a grim picture in South Africa due to slow economic growth, which hinders job creation amid a large number of unskilled workers who are unable to be absorbed into the workspace.
We were driven by the conviction that economies and communities are not sustainable if young people don't believe that they have a fair chance at opportunity, first job, and to get a foothold in the economy. Unfortunately, in Africa and across the world, we're failing on this for our youth.
The question was less about whether or not there were young people available. There's seas of young people available. The question was that if they were capable enough to be able to do some of these entry-level jobs.
A lot of students that go through their entire education without even learning like math. So they just didn't have like the basic skills to do well in a job.
Harambee's goal is to help the government fix that problem.
South Africa's challenge stands out. 1 out of every 2 young people are unemployed, and 60% of them will never work in their lifetime.
There was a ton of young people without jobs, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They don't have the skills, so then the stigma develops that they don't have the skills, and so it's not worth investing in them to develop those skills.
To shift this trajectory, we can't play small. And we've learned that when we back young people, they become the change that we and they want to see in the world.
In our first 3 years, we supported 100,000 young people, placing 10,000 of them in their first job with 100 of South Africa's top companies.
Our action needs to be swift and collective, and our impact needs to be outsized.
Harambee's rally cry is work for work, and our commitment today represents our work on behalf of 300,000 young South Africans and hopefully a transformed labor market for millions more.
And through Harambee, we've been innovating at scale, with business, with government, and with many others.
Our work is to keep falling in love with the problem and not staying in love with our solutions.
Yeah, so Harambee was founded in 2011 by Nicola Galombik. Their first goal, set in 2011 or 2012, was just get 10,000 people placed in jobs. So in 2015, it was 50,000. And as of June 2019, it was 100,000. That's amazing. And I feel like it illustrates the need. That's kind of gives hope to me for Service Academy here. It's like there's this kind of precedent for amazing, impactful change.
The incredible part about what they did is they measure it by placement, and it's only successful if they stayed in the job for a year.
Harambee is as close to a kind of a mirror image of our goal for Service Academy as we can get. We're focusing on more spiritual need of service and self-belonging and community and kindness. And Harambee is doing this more fundamental and basic thing of job placement.
They said, let's go create the demand first, and then we'll create the supply. We're trying to create the supply.
For me, my question is, how do you secure the commitment of people that say, that's a great idea, but do little in response? How do you motivate people to act, not just say yes?
Yeah, so we're really confident that we can get the young people on board, since service in the end benefits them the most.
How are you going to do that?
You need to have like a call to action, and then you need to have an inspiration. You need to have something that's pushing them forward, and you need to have something that they can do. Once everybody has somebody to look up to, there's going to be other people who rise to that level, or there's going to be other people who strive to that level.
In order to match students to meaningful service opportunities, they have to figure out what service opportunities students would be excited about. And in order to figure that out, they put together a survey.
So these are all the survey results, and these were the responses.
Please describe a service opportunity that you would be excited to do.
What were the answers?
I would like to become a special education and or an elementary education teacher. And I would love to work with special education programs or people to help me understand more about what teaching would be like in the future.
Dude, that's such an amazing answer.
That's a great response. The next one is, I've been really interested in the Boys and Girls Club in Newport. For me, working with people, especially children, is really of interest.
So 380 people got this email, 12 people responded. It's a small number, but these people are thoughtful, engaging, and this is specific. These are doable things, that practical things that can actually be done. Let's go ahead to the next one.
Do you consider service activities important to achieving your goals?
What were the answers?
Everybody said yes.
100%.
100% of people.
Yes. Okay.
So the next one is it easy to find and complete service activities you really want to do at SG? Everybody said no, except for one person.
Overwhelming majority said no.
Yeah.
Okay. Are group activities or activities with friends an important factor in service activities that you really want to do? Everybody said yes.
Make it social.
Make it social. Yes, everyone loves to spend time with their friends, and if you spend time with your friends doing cool shit, that's amazing.
If SG had a service concierge that would help you understand what resources and skills you have to offer and match that with service opportunities, would you use it? Every single person said yes.
I still think that's one of the better ideas. Hey, send me a couple things you're interested in. Here's a couple key questions, and I'll give you a couple of ideas.
And you could do it in a computer program. It's a pretty simple idea.
Keep it simple, make it social, make it easy. Just like Harambee has done with an app called Work Seekers.
The Work Seekers app is the app that people initially go in and they fill out their initial application. They created a templated, scalable process that says, hey, here's a quick way for you to figure out what you're good at. Here's our way to be able to help you accelerate that and be able to get you in front of the right training or the right type of people. And then we're going to place you in a service opportunity.
They created a sort of assessment to measure learning potential and start sorting through these thousands of people that really want jobs. This had never been done before. How do you become the person who gets it done? How do we ourselves become people who get shit done? And how do we find a way to help others be the people that get shit done? They're willing to take the first step, and then they're willing to fail, and they're willing to try again. And so I think that that's what's going to happen with Service Academy, is that the more we do this, the more we're going to see what works and what doesn't, and we're going to work from there. And everyone can do that. It's not just them, but there are these kind of pioneers. To see that you can come back and be better from failing is really actually pretty big.
One of the things that's so exciting about social entrepreneurship is that it occurs in the real world. And the real world is unpredictable. Things don't always go the way the theory says they should. Even Harambee didn't get everything right the first time. They made mistakes. They had to fail and adapt. And if they can, the guys want to learn from any mistakes they made.
They completely revamped their assessment system. Initially, their assessment test was more about school smarts. Their second iteration of their test tested learning potential. How much space do you have to go up? They're picking and choosing the people who will be successful. And so I think for a long time, we here at Service Academy, we're just trying to help everyone. And at some point, I just don't think that's possible.
We can go pick and we can go through the selection process, kind of filter out some of those people the way that Harambee would do it.
They don't try to get everyone on board. We need to focus on that first person who's really into it. And then we need to focus on 2 more people that are really, really passionate about this. And those are our people. Those are the people we need to focus on. Because those are the ones who are really going to do the impactful service. We need quality over quantity.
And we found some of them. We're going to find a few more.
The youth of today wants to engage in service. The question is, what should they focus on first?
I think the problem that we have here is teenagers understanding service and kind of breaking it down into fundamental parts so that you can learn or talk about it.
Many of these service organizations are out to help people. They're not necessarily a volunteer factory for creating amazing volunteers.
Like the people that are kind of successful and involved in this are the people that can realize the potential and are excited about it. They can go through ideas and realize that there's not really a boundary, which is kind of the whole thing we're trying to teach people about service. It can be right for you.
But here's where the rubber meets the road. The Groundies have to turn this theory into actionable items. So with these lessons in mind, what's next for Service Academy?
We are going to create 100 new service opportunities and get in contact with 20 new service organizations and really start to create the service culture at St. George's.
We need to continue to build a wider audience of service organizations to believe and trust in us.
Yeah.
We could commandeer Mission SG for a week or 2. And the great thing about that is that it's mandatory.
Great idea.
Like, hey, let us have 1 week and just start getting everybody into service.
Yeah. Contact these service organizations as we as a community want more service opportunities that look like this. Can you help us?
A little bit why the Service Academy has taken as long as it has to get off the ground is because at least personally, I've been afraid of the failure of being like, hey, let's do service, and either nobody responding or just people saying no. To see that you can come back and be better from failing is really actually pretty big.
Check our show notes for more information on Harambee and their incredible story. This week, the Groundies are thinking about how to fail well. If you've got thoughts on that, they'd love to hear from you. Reach out to them at serviceacademy.org.